Salutations to all our future judges. In this video, we are going to see Indian Evidence Act 1872. But before going into the video, I'd like to make few requests to our viewers as well as the subscribers. Kindly do not skip the video. Watch the video from the beginning till the end. If you skip in between, you may be missing very crucial information or very crucial aspects which have been explained. Hence, watch from the beginning till the end. And next request is, please do have a notebook and a pen with you, because various questions which have been asked in Evidence Act in various exams would be mentioned or would be stated. And in addition to this, idea would be given as to how questions could be framed in a particular section. It is very important for you. So you all need to make a note of all these aspects. And in addition to this, some additional illustrations would also be given while teaching the act. Hence, you please make a note of all those additional illustrations as well. They would be of absolute help to you in understanding the particular section. And in addition to this, various ways or techniques would be taught which would help you to remember those sections, or to say some memory techniques would be given. This would be really helpful to you in remembering the sections when you go to the exam. I hope this video would be of absolute and great utility to you. Let us see section 30 now. So, imagine a scenario. Just try to visualize this concept. There are three people who are being jointly tried for a murder case. In that case, the first person A, the second person is B, and the third person is C. The first person A is saying that me, B and C joined hands together and murdered D. So a question would come whether this confession can be used against B and C. The answer is simply yes. That is what this section is trying to explain. However, there are some exceptions or some minor changes in this concept when this A, B, C and C are tried separately. Now let us go into the section and try to understand this in a much more detailed manner. There are certain conditions which should be satisfied for applying this section 30. The first condition is there should be more than one person. It should not be a single person. That is very important. Next thing is all of them should be tried jointly. That is the second aspect. The third aspect is all of them should be tried for the same offense. And out of this all people, one of them should have made a confession. That is the fourth point. And that confession should affect him and the other persons, or any one of the persons who are being jointly tried. And it should be proved. That is the next point. Then in such situation, the court may take into consideration such confession as against such other person as well as against the person who makes such confession. So, in this particular section, offense would also include abetment and attempt to commit an offense. So, to put it in a simple manner, you need not have committed the offense, but you could have helped or you could have assisted in getting that offense committed, or you could have tried or attempted to commit that offense. Even that is counted as offense under this section. Now, let us move to the illustrations what have been given under section 30. The first illustration is A and B. There are two people who are being jointly tried for murder of C. So the accusation is that these two people joined hands together and murdered C. Now, a statement is being proved in the court. It is proved that this A has said that B and I murdered C. So the first person is saying that me as well as the second person joined hands together and murdered C. Now, the court may consider the effect of this confession as against B. B has not given a confession, B has not stated anything. Even if that be the case, the statement or the confession of A can be taken against B. That is what this illustration is trying to explain. Now let us go to the next scenario or the next illustration which is being given. Now A is on his trial for the murder of C. So in this scenario there is only one person. See, as we saw the section, it says like where more persons or more than one person is being tried jointly. That is the condition. So now this condition is not satisfied in this particular illustration. So it simply says A is on his trial for the murder of C. So there is one person who is being tried for the murder of one person. Simple. So there is evidence to show that C was murdered by A and B. Now the court is getting an evidence, or somebody is producing an evidence to the court saying that it is not just A but B also joined hands with A to murder C. And this is also proved, or the evidence is also shown to prove that B has stated that A and I murdered C. So two aspects. One, evidence is shown that A and B joined hands to kill C. The next is there is a statement which is given by B which says that A and B murdered C. Two aspects. So this is also given. However, this may not be taken into consideration. That is the statement given by B which is proving that A and B joined hands together to murder C cannot be taken into consideration by the court as against A because they are not being jointly tried. If they are not being jointly tried, it cannot be considered against them. So that is very important. Now let us move on to section 31. Admissions not conclusive proof but may estop. That is the term which is being used. But before venturing into this particular section, let us try to understand what is meant by estoppel. Unless we understand the meaning or the sense of estoppel, we cannot understand this particular section. Hence, let us proceed with the estoppel in the beginning. As you all know, estoppel means a person is being restricted from saying something which is contrary to what he has stated earlier. Let us try to understand this by way of an illustration. A case is being filed based on a document. Now, a prime witness is coming into the court in cross-examination, or say in chief examination, is coming and saying that I wrote this document, I gave a document, I signed it and I gave it in person to this person, to some other person is saying. So, after a short period, he cannot go back and say, no, I did not sign the document and I got no connection to the document, I have not signed it. He cannot take a contrary stand to what he has already stated. So, that would mean a prevention or a restriction on a statement. So, put it simply, you cannot say something contrary to what you have already stated. That is called as estoppel. You are estopped. Now, let us come to this section 31. So, it says somebody is giving an admission. Whether that can be a conclusive proof of the matter admitted. So, the answer is it may not be a conclusive proof. Admissions are not conclusive proof of the matter which you have admitted. However, they may operate as estoppels because, as you know, in certain cases admissions can be proved by or on behalf of the person who is given the admission. We have already seen it. However, in certain cases, this can be proved against the person who is giving it. So there are so many intricacious issues involved, so many minute things which are involved in admissions. Hence, we cannot simply say that admissions are conclusive proof. There are so many aspects which needs to be considered when it is an admission. So admissions cannot be obviously be said as a conclusive proof or the matters admitted. However, they can operate as estoppels under the provisions hereinafter contained. So there are certain provisions which are going to follow this particular section, wherein it has been stated under what situations this can operate as estoppel. However, it may operate as an estoppel under the provisions. If it is falling under the provisions which are given below or hereinafter contained, then it will be considered as an estoppel. That is what this section is trying to explain. With this, the section 31 is concluded. In the next video, we'll be seeing topic on the statement by persons who cannot be called as witnesses. There may be situations where a person cannot be called as a witness, or the statement by a person who himself is not eligible to be called as a witness. So we'll be dealing with this in our next video or the forthcoming video. If you have any doubts till section 31, please do leave it as a comment in this video. I'll be happy to answer your questions. I thank you for the support you have been rendering all these days. If you like the video, please do press the thumbs up button, do subscribe the channel and share the channel with your friends. Let me know what you feel about this video by way of comments. Let us join hands together and contribute for a learned society. Thank you.